In this video tutorial, we are going to use the mapping library for JavaScript to render this interactive terrain map. In it, we can draw routes with mouse clicks. Our application has two buttons, which allow us to draw red or blue lines, which represent air or railway routes. The mapping library is part of MindFusion Pack for JavaScript. You can download it as an archive directly from MindFusion's website or use NPM. We have downloaded the pack for JavaScript and we have extracted the archive. From the files there, we copy 6 JavaScript files that we will use in our mapping project: collections, common collections, controls, drawing, and mapping. We also copy all TypeScript files. We need those for IntelliSense support. Let's open the project folder with VS Code. We will add now a blank HTML file that will host our application. In it, we will add references to the JavaScript files that represent the mapping control. We start with drawing. Then we need controls, common, collections, and finally mapping. We also reference another JavaScript file, routes. It is located in the main directory and we will create it now. This will be the code behind file of our application. Now I am going to paste the code that creates a div element, which takes most of the space on the web page. We have inside it another div with an ID, which represents our map and will render it. Now, in the code behind file, we add 2 namespace mappings for the mapping and drawing namespaces. Let's include a reference to the TypeScript file with the API members, which is used by IntelliSense. Now we will create our map. We need a MapView instance to host the maps. The constructor of the MapView class requires a reference to the div element that represents the map. The map itself is rendered by the map layer class. We need to provide it with a URL to a tile mapping service. We use often Stamen, and we will use it in the sample as well. On the Stamen website, you can get the URL of the tile map service for the type of map you are interested. They demand that you provide attribution, and we will. We use the attribution property of map layer for that. In order to work correctly, the map view requires an initial coordinate to load. Let's see the location of Vienna, the capital of Austria, and load it. Well, the map doesn't seem to load. A possible reason is that we have 2 times double quotes in the attribution string. Let's replace the outer quotes with single quotation marks. The map works fine now. The load method allows a second parameter, one that specifies the zoom factor. If we set 6, we will see most of Europe loaded. If we set 3, most of the world will be visible. 6 seems like a nice zoom factor for what we want to do. Now we will start implementing the drawing functionality. We need an instance of the Canvas Layer class, which renders geometrical figures. Let's copy the code to create one from the online help. We will also handle the click event. The click event is fired when the user clicks on the map, and the event data gives us the clicked location in lat long coordinates. That's exactly what we need. We will store the clicked points in an array. In order to have a drawing rendered by the canvas layer, we need to add a geometry to it. The poly class is exactly for that, and we use it to create a polyline from the clicked points. The polygon needs at least 2 points to render. It also exposes various customization properties. Let's check our sample. Yes, now we are able to draw a line that connects clicked points. What we are left to do is use some JavaScript and HTML to add the buttons that change the pen of the polygon. Let's look at the properties of the poly instance. We have a stroke, which specifies the color. We have stroke thickness, which is set in kilometers. This way, the thickness is proportional to the zoom factor. The smooth property specifies if the polyline edges are smooth or straight. Let's set it to false, and you can see the effect. Now we will copy 2 images, which we will use for the buttons. They represent blue and red dashed lines. We add now the CSS styles used by the image buttons. Here is the code for the buttons and their labels. This HTML snippet creates 2 buttons that have an image each one. They have an ID of red dash and blue dash respectively. Both have event handlers for their click event, on red selected and on blue selected. Let's add those event handlers in the code behind. First, let's see that our buttons are there. Yes, they look fine and don't do anything, of course. We start writing the last part of our application by declaring a variable for the color code. Then, in the event handler for the red button, we get the DOM elements of both buttons. We will use their style property to specify their borders from code. We set a red border 2 pixels wide to the red button and remove the border of the blue button. It is important to reset the points array. Each button click means that a new polyfigure is started and the points array must be empty. For the event handler of the blue button, we use the same code, but we change the styling of the two buttons. The border is for the blue button. Let's test our application. We select the red button and the route is drawn with red. We click on the blue line and a new polyline is started with blue line. Everything works fine. We need to add just one more thing. When the page loads, the pen is blue, so the blue button needs to be initially selected. In order to do this, we will handle the window load event. Let's find some sample code we can use. In our event handler, we will get the blue button and place the red border around it. Let's see if it works. Yes, the button gets initially selected, which is correct. And this is the end of our video tutorial. We learned how to use the JavaScript mapping library to build an interactive web page that allows the user to draw two types of routes, railway and air. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your interest in MindFusion Developer Tools.